And let's dive into our first conversation now. See, experts estimate that Nigeria's agricultural sector, which provides nearly 1/4 of the country's GDP and employs 2/3 of the labor force, and has the potential to generate $40 billion in exports, or using electricity to power opportunities like these can drive a virtuous cycle for rural development by increasing incomes and community resilience and improving the financial performance of the Minigrid utility. Nigerian Rural Electrification Agency, in collaboration with RMI and supported by the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, launched the Energizing Agriculture Program. Well, to tell us more about this, we have Engineer Ahmed Salihijo, Managing Director of Nigerian Rural Electrification Agency. Great to have you on the program. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Engineer. Well, it is estimated that Nigeria loses over $9 billion worth of fresh produce due to a deficit in its access to power to drive agro-allied processing. How can Nigeria bridge the gap, between agriculture and electricity access?
So thank you very much for having me here today to speak a bit more about this excellent partnership that we're having with RMI. This stemmed out of our last visit to COP26, where Nigeria has committed to global practices of ensuring that we take up our nationally determined contributions. So this was seen as an opportunity, and it creates a nexus for us at REA because we're trying to take power to unserved and underserved areas, which certainly our agricultural clusters fall into that particular space. So what we're doing currently, as the name suggests, with energizing agriculture, the REA is acting here as a facilitator and an enabler, to see how we can bridge that gap by providing productive use of power through mini-grids, isolated mini-grids, or solar pumps for irrigation for the agricultural space. And we're not doing this alone. We're doing this in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Power, who supervises our activities, and also with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and its various stakeholders, where we work with RMI so that we can develop that space and bring up these mini-grids to see how we can bridge that gap, just as you have mentioned. And because it's also quite a time-sensitive activity, we're looking to do that within this year to see how we can begin to scale up before we go far into the farming season.
Yes, quite a time sensitive. But what is the state of mini grids in rural areas at this point?
So within the rural areas, I can comfortably say that we have done just at the REA alone, almost 100 megawatts of power through mini grids. But the issue is that we look at it through various programs that we have. So we look at it through the capital projects, which I can proudly say this year we are designing a specific program around agriculture, in a programmatic approach, knowing that we had made this commitment with RMI. We needed to also bring in other programs that would complement the kind of expertise RMI is bringing to the table. And as you're also aware, we have the Rural Electrification Fund, where we have been, partnering with private developers, providing them with grants to provide mini-grids in a sustainable fashion, and also with the Nigerian Electrification Project through the World Bank and the Africa Development Bank, where we're currently providing up to 60% subsidies for mini-grids within the agricultural and rural development space. So overall, I believe we have seen areas where, for instance, in the southwest part of the country, where, these mini-grids are evolving into ensuring that some other activities crop up around it, like rice mills, etc. So I think it's becoming very obvious and clear that with the provision of this sort of power, through isolated mini-grids, it does help in bringing this kind of economic activities.
And an alternative is actually much needed at this time. We've seen energy prices, skyrocket globally. But I want you to tell me more about this Energizing Agriculture program. How's it going to work?
So with the Energizing Agriculture program, the REA and the RMI, are currently working on the feasibility of these programs. So the good thing is that because we have other partners, so for instance, as I mentioned, we have other partners with the developers through the Nigerian Electrification Project, the Rural Electrification Fund, and the Capital Project. We are now working closely with RMI, the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Power, to continue to design these programs in such a way that they continue to be private sector driven. So with the partnership that we have with these other stakeholders, what we intend to do is to bring up and create the demand in the agricultural space. So we have a very close partnership with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, where we are working hand in hand with them to identify various clusters that require this sort of service, so that we can now bring up these solutions, and the private sector, in collaboration with the farmers associations, would be the one responsible for, after the program rollout, to continue to sustain them, because already at the REA we have an ongoing model for the Rural Electricity User Cooperative Society. So we intend to bring this as well to the table, so that we can jointly now bring up these projects, understand the demand, and then continue to do operations and maintenance over the lifetime of the project.
Well, most times, people see cleaner alternatives as, quite expensive, but how affordable and accessible are these, mini-grid options to dwellers in the rural areas?
What we believe also is a good model in agriculture, and we have seen this work with some of our already existing developers. They also go into partnerships with consumers in terms of the association. So sometimes what you find is that they can actually pay for this power with produce that they have from the farm. So in this case, as we are aware, we have various programs within the central bank that also partners with farmers for the anchor borrowers. So what we have been seeing is that in terms of affordability, they are actually able to pay with produce of the farm that they have. So we have this as a win-win situation, and some of the associations like the rice farmers associations and the cassava farmers association, they have all shown interest that they are able to go into this sort of partnerships with our private developers. And as we are aware, as they consume that power, they only pay for what they consume, and they are able to do so with the produce of their farm.
All right, so according to the Rural Electrification Agency, that's you, and the Energizing Agriculture Program, it's supposed to foster a pipeline of local agriculture energy projects, that demonstrate the impact of collaborative development efforts across the energy and agriculture sector. But how is the program, designed to ensure local ownership, of solutions and scalability?
Yeah, so everything that we do is anchored around the local content of this. So for instance, as I mentioned, when the private developer comes in, they actually work directly with the farmers associations, with the local community through the Renewable Energy User Cooperative Society. So the entire program is designed around, the local community, and the major reason why the REA even went into this sort of partnership is because, in the last few years, we've been trying to continue to see how, we look beyond having only electrons. So we want to look beyond that. We want to see how that power is directly affecting lives, is directly creating jobs. So this is why, we know that within the agricultural sector, this is a very, very natural nexus. So, but as you have said, this is how we want to concentrate on this program, to work directly with our local dwellers, so that we are able to ensure that this program remains sustainable. But as you know, we are only launching it today, so we are going to use the next month or so to ensure that everything that we've put in place, we have started to implement with our partners.
So, what are the most, looking at value chains now, what are the most promising agricultural value chains to actually electrify Nigeria? And how do you plan to collaborate with, agriculture and energy stakeholders?
Yeah, so as you know, I'm not an agricultural expert,
Right.
So this is why, I believe the partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture and its agencies. And to be honest, what we look to do is we don't want to recreate anything. So we are working with them to identify where we already have this sort of economic clusters and this sort of activities, so that we can go in there and see how we can augment or how we can complement those services. So this program is not going to necessarily begin anything from the absolute ground floor. We are looking to build on the foundation that our stakeholders have already done within the agricultural space. So, but from my understanding, I know that there are quite a lot of rice mills around, that are already under various programs in the federal government of Nigeria, which we intend to see how we can partner with them and continue to boost their energy demands.
Yeah, quite a long value chain there to actually electrify. But, beyond providing electricity to the unserved and, underserved communities in Nigeria, what's the ultimate goal for, the Rural Electrification Agency, under the Energizing Agriculture Program?
For us, the agricultural sector is dear to our hearts, because, out of, all the other programs that we have been doing, I think this is by far going to be one of the most impactful projects, because, naturally, you're killing a few birds with only one stone. So what you have is that you are empowering the rural community. At the same time, you're providing them with activities that will enhance their livelihoods. You're also providing food and resource for the local community, and at the same time, impacting the economy. So for us, it's a very fantastic opportunity to come in, deliver our mandate for serving the unserved Nigerians, and at the same time boost the economy by providing this sort of service and ensuring that the lives of our rural dwellers have been enhanced.
Quite a lot to do there, Engineer Ahmad Salihijo, but you'll just hold on. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll dig deeper into this conversation. That's the moment. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Still watching Business Morning. We've been talking about the Energizing Agriculture Program. And I still have with me Engineer Ahmad Salihijo right there in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you very much.
All right, Engineer. So, what are your plans, on sustainability, towards making sure that these off-grid projects and initiatives actually benefit the rural communities?
So I think our major plan for sustainability always remains driving these projects through private sector participation. What we have learned within the rural electrification space is that if you design it in a commercially driven environment, the private sector proponents running these projects also bring up their own risks and equity onto the table. So everything government has been doing so far with the Rural Electrification Fund, with the Nigerian Electrification Project, is to provide the required subsidies and grants that these private sector developers require to run this program. So what we have learned is that when you have the private sector driving these projects, because there's already an economic viability aspect attached to it, these projects have an opportunity to be operated and maintained for quite a long time. And in addition to that, because of how this program has also been designed in partnership with other stakeholders, we believe that the structure that we have put in place, especially with the rural electricity user cooperative society structures that we have, our partnerships with the farmers associations, on the whole, this program has been designed so that it remains sustainable even after it's been delivered to these economic clusters.
Quite interesting. I recall, at some point, access to gas, was a major constraint for investors as it reduces the, utilization of the installed capacity of gas-fired off-grid power plants, which actually depletes their projected cash flow. How's this being handled?
So far at the Rural Electrification Agency, we haven't had much gas-fired initiatives. We have been working mainly on solar hybrid mini-grids through, solar home systems, solar mini-grids, as I mentioned earlier. However, we are looking at, besides gas, we have a program under the Rural Electrification Fund called the Research and Innovation Hub. So we are trying through that program to see how we can also bring in other technologies, such as small hydros, such as waste to wealth management, such as methanization in various parts of the country. So we've been able to put up a few pilots which are just being implemented as we speak, so that we can learn how these projects can actually be used for rural electrification. And then when we do that, we are now in a better situation to partner with other government stakeholders that are currently mandated with, managing, other sectors within the country. So I think, for the gas-fired, we haven't done or we have not really explored it as much as the other technologies that I have mentioned.
Okay. All right. All right, Engineer Ahmed Salihijo, MD Nigerian Rural Electrification Agency. It was great having you on the program today. Thank you so much, and enjoy your weekend.